Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. I'm Dr. Matt Townsend here with you today. We're talking emotional health. You ever just feel like you can't take it anymore? Your emotions are breaking down. You know, maybe you need to go binge on a lot of food tonight, a little extra second dinner for you. Or maybe you're just driving your truck and you get a call from home and you're frustrated. You take it out on everybody. Or you're a basketball coach at Rutgers that really needs to win, create some results, and you end up throwing balls at people and yelling slurs. In the end, emotion is everywhere, right? It's part of living. It's part of life. It's the stressor. It's also the joy. Both are emotions, and we've got to learn to do it healthier and manage our emotions in a healthier way. So we've asked Joan Jacobs. Now, Joan Jacobs has been a holistic healer with experience in emotional and information-based healing with 26 years of experience. She resides in Israel and teaches on the Faculty of Health Sciences at the Ben Gurion University in Israel. And she just knows her stuff. She's published a book. Her first book was titled Messages from the Soul, A Holistic Approach to Healing. And we wanted to get her on the phone with us and the radio, actually Skype with us today, because we want to find out how to manage our health, our emotional health, in more productive ways. So, Joan, welcome to the program.
Hi, Matt. Thank you. A pleasure to be here.
Good to have you on the show. And truly, Joan, I think, we need to master this emotional stuff, don't we? Because it's not going away.
And not only is it not going away, but I would say that it really is undermining health to much greater extent than what people estimate.
What do you mean? Because a lot of us just think, well, come on, everyone's stressed, it's no big deal. But the emotional stress and pain, it's causing things that we're not even aware of.
Well, to begin with, when emotions are created in the body, there are two physiological paths. One is neurological, meaning affecting the nervous system, and the second is biochemical, which, bottom line, is affecting the cells. So it's a lot more scientific than, just saying body, mind,
right.
We're stressed out, we have, and I'm not sure that enough people really understand how directly linked their emotions are to what's going on in their bodies.
And tell us more about it, like whether it's from the neurological pathways, I guess, or the biochemical. These are having an effect on other parts of our body, other systems as well, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Well, the nervous system obviously is connected to all the other body systems, but there's a particular importance in regard to the correlation between the nervous system and the immune system. And in fact, I was listening in. You were talking about becoming emotionless, and there is something to be said about shutting down emotionally and how that shuts down the nervous system. Now, what the nervous system does is creates the sensations that we feel in the body. The listeners can try and remember what it feels like in the body to be angry, for instance. So you'll get metaphors such as, it feels like I'm on fire. It feels like I'm a volcano about to explode and things like that. There is a sensation that's totally physical, and that's created by the nervous system. Now, the biochemical pathway is the one that's affecting the cells, and it's been scientifically proved that negative emotions affect the cells in a negative way, and if you experience enough repetitive negative emotions, there's a negative consciousness that's integrated into the cell, which not only affects that cell badly, but then when the cell divides, then it's passing on the negative consciousness to the daughter cell.
Interesting.
So you find yourself in a loop that you just can't get out of.
Yeah. And it's fascinating because, everything's a cell inside of us. But these cells then, they don't handle the biochemical of stress as well. But then they also, I guess, then kind of communicate. So when those cells die, then new cells come in, and then I guess it's eventually this cycle of, I guess, death.
Well, first of all, different emotions cause the secretion of different biochemicals. So if you're relaxed or you're stressed, your body is actually functioning totally differently. And there's different levels of chemicals in the bloodstream. That's something that's very easy to test. So that's one aspect of it.
Let me ask you, Joan, about that, not to interrupt, but what if I'm seemingly relaxed because I'm doing something that allows me to escape, but in the back of my head, I know I've got something big to do, but I'm just avoiding and avoiding and avoiding. Which chemistry is going to play? The one of avoidance, where I'm just trying to find a peaceful moment, is the
first of all, I wouldn't call that being relaxed.
No, I mean, but I guess it's not relaxed. But I wonder if we're not trying to pretend like we are.
Oh, there's a lot of that,
and so we still have the same chemical reaction whether we're pretending to be doing what we should be doing or
Definitely.
not.
Definitely, and in fact, to a certain degree, it's the New Age trend and everything. There is a lot of pretending there, and in fact, that trend has introduced a lot of that. I mean, I've seen clients that meditate regularly, in their basket cases.
Yeah. So they're using the language of, hey, I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to go find my peaceful space, but they really are basket cases still. They're faking it. I mean, not faking it, but there's an illusion that they're doing something healing when it's really not.
Yes. And that's the reason, of course, that there is a percentage of people who do meditate and do all kinds of things that, according to the literature, should create health, and they're not.
Yeah.
And often the reason is that they're not going deep enough.
Well, yeah, because if there's two pathways, I guess they've also got to make sure they're getting to those pathways. They're not just occupying time. They've got to either be getting into neurological or biochemical, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And is this what you teach at the university there, is this deeper science, this deeper cut?
Well, actually, what I teach at the university is an introductory course to holistic medicine, and the course is open to students in all departments of the Faculty of Health Sciences. So I have medical students, nursing students, paramedics, physiotherapists, and a few other departments.
Yeah.
And basically what they get is an introduction to holistic medicine, how it differs from conventional medicine, when is it recommended to combine, counterindications, and things like that.
Okay.
But the emphasis is on the connection between body, mind, emotions. And since that's my clinical expertise, I definitely put an emphasis on that.
And I think I really think we don't have any clue how complex we are. And so, yeah, the idea that we might simplify it by keeping it in just the physiological realm or the psychological realm, but getting to the cellular level is a whole other level of it. Do you think, as you see us as a society, where are we going maybe wrong in our approach to emotion?
Well, to begin with, there's a lot of emotional conditioning, and that's having a really bad effect. And I think the most important aspects of that is the differentiation between positive emotions and negative emotions. Because, as soon as you label something as being negative, Nobody wants to be in the negative.
Right. No.
And that's a good base for starting to bypass and suppress emotions because, you don't want to be in the negative.
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad. So the number one suggestion or recommendation that I always give people is to legitimize all emotions. Just look at it as being a basket full of resources, full of possibilities. And each possibility can serve you or not, depending upon how you use it. So
it's not binary. It's not good or bad. These are all, the emotions are useful indicators that can be used to help us in any way, however they appear.
Nothing can be good or bad until you associate a meaning to it or a significance to it or an interpretation to it. If you take love, for example, okay?
Right.
I don't know about you, Matt, but when I was, 15, 16, and I had a crush on the guy, at school, and I was sure I was in love, but he was older than I was,
Yeah.
and he really didn't even see me. That was painful.
Yeah. And he had braces and headgear, and yeah.
Exactly. So, love is supposed to be positive. That's supposed to be pleasant. Well,
Right.
I can tell you that was pretty painful.
That's right. That's true, huh?
And yet on the other hand, I can think of a lot of situations where I got upset about something, and that anger moved me to act or react to something and move myself out of a situation that wasn't really very good for me. So, you could turn around and say, boy, that anger really served me. That was
anger was
positive.
helpful.
Yeah.
That's
if I know you talk a lot about relationships. I've had a lot of women claim that their frustration in a relationship was what motivated them to leave the relationship.
Yeah.
So.
But the emotion's neutral, is what you're saying, right?
Emotions are exactly.
And they're going to remain neutral until, I guess, we maybe in a cognitive or a kind of more of a thought cognitive place in our brain put a value on it.
Exactly.
And you're saying one of the first keys to managing emotion is you call it legitimizing all emotion, but I guess just letting the emotion be what it is. Just let it be there.
Exactly.
And then I guess start moving it, and then I guess start trying to make sense what the emotion's telling us.
Well, the next thing the next thing is either, because there are two things that we need to look at here. One is the interpretation of the emotion, the significance that we attribute to the emotion, and how we decide to deal with it, or how we decide to deal with the situation that's causing it. That's one group of things we need to talk about. And the second one is, what do we do with the actual sensation, the buildup in the body?
Okay.
Now, it's important that people understand that the main motivation to suppress, manipulate, and otherwise bypass emotions is to avoid the sensation, not the emotion.
Oh, we want the sensation to go away.
Want the sensation to go away.
Why would we want a sensation to go away if it was a positive sensation?
First of all, most suppression or let's say problems that suppression causes is associated more with what people call negative emotions.
Yeah, so what we've interpreted as a negative. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we want the negative emotion to stop.
But don't forget, what we call positive emotions can be very intense and very overwhelming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember driving to a rock concert that I was so excited about. It was almost like I was jumping out of my skin. And excitement can be very pleasurable.
No, absolutely.
So this is why the categorization into positive and negative is actually very crippling when trying to make sense of it all and see how we want to deal with it. Now, my approach is very different because most people who talk about emotions talk about expressing emotions.
Right.
You have to get it out, and then the discussion is, how can we get emotions out in healthy ways? How do we express anger without hitting the other guy or, throwing something or, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about sports and, that whole route.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that since emotions, including the sensations, are created in the body, we have to decharge them in the body.
Oh, great. Yeah. They belong. They're in there, so you've got to deal with them in there, or I guess they go undealt. We don't deal with them.
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
Or we deal with them in an ineffective way in our lives where we end up hurting other people because we didn't deal with it in ourselves.
Well, I wouldn't call that dealing because, if people do things to make the sensation go away, that's not dealing with the emotion.
Right. It's just passing it on.
It's just shutting it in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah.
And then when the drawer, is completely full, it just explodes and bursts out all over the place, and that can be in form of disease, that can be in form of a actual outburst, it can be violence, it can be anything.
Yeah. You know what, Joan? Let's take a break here because I want to get back and have you start to explain a little bit more about the actual kind of interpreting process, the selection process of how we, what we do with the interpretation of our emotions, and then really start getting into how we should start expressing the emotion in a healthier way. We're talking with Joan Jacobs from Israel, and she is a holistic healer with an expertise in emotional-based healing, 26 years experience doing that. We'll be back with Joan to try to figure out how to manage and understand our emotions more effectively. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show right here on SiriusXM 143 BYU Radio.
How small can you make a satellite? And what can you do with it once you've built it? Call home, obviously.
This is Innovation Now, bringing you stories behind the ideas that shape our future.
NASA's Space Technology Program stimulates creative new thinking in the application of advanced tech that's as useful in space as it is on Earth. So here's an idea. It's often claimed we flew men to the moon with computers less powerful than what's inside today's smartphones. So, can a smartphone fly in space? Only one way to find out. Nanosats are really tiny satellites, a cube only 4 inches on a side. They're about the size of a decent cup of coffee. The PhoneSat mission built 3 prototypes very quickly, with a budget of only $3,500 each. They kept costs down by using off-the-shelf smartphones as the guts of the tiny orbiters. Nanosat 1 has a simple job of taking pictures and texting back messages about the onboard conditions. Nanosats 2 and 3 step up their game by adding solar panels, GPS, and electromagnetic stabilization to keep their cameras pointed straight. Popular Science awarded Nanosat the 2012 Best of What's New award. Future fleets of nanosats might combine to study the sun or explore other worlds while phoning home their findings. I better take that. For Innovation Now, this is Buddy Rubino.
Innovation Now is produced by the National Institute of Aerospace through collaboration with NASA and is distributed by WHRV. Visit us online at innovationnow.us.
On The Julie Hanks Show, you can get advice on relationships, life balance, emotional health, and a whole lot more. And the best part is you get to help pick the topics. You can talk to Julie during the show by calling 855-CHAT-BYU or email Julie anytime, julie@juliehanks.com. So send us your question and catch the show Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM 143 BYU Radio.
KBYU-FM, HD2 Provo.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We are understanding, trying to learn a healthier way to look at emotion and our emotions. And we're talking with a holistic healer and expert in emotional-based healing of 26 years, Joan Jacobs out of Israel. Joan teaches at the Faculty of Health Sciences at Ben-Gurion University there. And she's walking us through some of the things we can do to maybe better manage and express our emotions and to understand what emotions are. We've talked about the fact that they tend to come from different sources, neurological sources that generate the emotion, biochemical ways. And then, emotions are neutral. We just are having this experience, this sensation. Then we have to interpret them. And so, Joan, welcome back to the show with us. Fill us in.
I'm here, Matt.
Okay, go ahead. Fill us in, Joan, because one thing we're kind of so the emotion's a fairly neutral thing, and then we as thinkers, I guess supposedly, or non-thinkers, we end up hanging and attaching a meaning to the emotion, which is, I guess, called the interpretation. What are some tools, or what would you suggest we need to know about that stage of understanding our emotions?
Okay, well, the most important thing to understand is that whenever we're exposed to information, be it through things that we see, things that we hear, that information is being filtered. And it's being filtered because the body strives to create balance between the inner environment and the outer environment. So you can imagine it as having an archive in your mind of belief systems and values, things that you think are true, things that you think are right. And when you deal with incoming input, you're filtering that, often distorting it to make it fit what's in there already.
Yeah, your inner world, huh?
Your inner world, okay? Now, why I'm saying that is so important is because when you want to start identifying and shifting the way you interpret situations in order to modify the emotions, you have to be willing to look at your belief systems and your values and how you're filtering information. Now, the best tip that I can give the listeners is that when you filter, okay, when you're hearing things, nothing, again, is positive or negative 100%.
Right.
So no matter how negative you think what you're hearing is, always keep in mind that even if it's 0.5%, that 0.5% says that something good could come out of it.
There's still that chance of goodness, even in the thought that it's all bad.
Exactly. Now, what I have people do is take the sentences as they are, take them out of context, and write them on a blank piece of paper. So there's no tone of voice. It's out of the context. Mm-hmm. And just write down 5 or 6 possible interpretations of the sentence, possible ways of understanding what was said, which is actually associating significance to it and meaning.
So you're forcing them to find. So if they take a thought, and like if somebody sat and wrote down their feelings about an event, or even just, I guess, the data about the event, you're saying you could take each one of those sentences one at a time, and the person could then go actually write down 5 different ways to interpret each of those events or the data around that. I mean, there's so your wife didn't do it because she hates you. She didn't not whatever for you because she hates you.
Exactly.
She may have done it because she was real busy today. She may have done it because she forgot. She may have done it because, and that's like us intentionally shifting the interpretation. And the irony of, I guess, of that is it doesn't end up, it's not, you're actually giving somebody the benefit of the doubt is really what you're doing. I mean, potentially.
Which isn't necessarily, a bad thing.
No, it's just neutral.
Actually, what I'm doing is I'm cracking the structure, the pattern.
Yeah.
Because most intelligent people would admit that is a possibility. It may be a slight possibility, but it is a possibility. You can't say that it's not a possibility. So then the brain goes, oh my God, there may be other possibilities. And it softens the resistance.
I love that, yeah.
If you keep practicing it, it's like you keep putting that question mark up there. Is the way that I understood what she said to me, is that the only way? Could there not be other options? And just asking those questions all the time forces the mind to expand and see things in a broader perspective.
I love that. I actually do something similar with my clients that I call the respecting question. Whenever they're caught up in the negative interpretation, like my wife's so whatever, negative, or my husband's so bad, then I basically have them do the exact same thing and just try to find the benefit. Why would a loving, decent, caring, amazing person do that? And give me 5 reasons. And it does. It stretches the brain. And it seems like once we stretch the brain to know that there's multiple reasons or options or potentialities for an issue or a situation, it's almost like the brain can't go back, can it? It now is more open.
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
It definitely is.
That's powerful.
And if you keep practicing, yeah, it is.
I think it seems like we can't do that enough. I mean, because that's everything. When you're sitting at a light and you're thinking, why is this crazy jerk not going? You're already interpreting negatively.
Well, if you practice it enough, it almost becomes like second nature.
Yeah.
And I call it the difference between hearing what moves you forward versus hearing what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah. And it's the difference, it seems like, between having peace and having, tension inside of you. Because you can feel the tension release, and you're just saying, do this quickly or do this enough in your life, and you'll be able to release those feelings of it caused by interpretation more quickly. Mm-hmm. That's powerful.
Yeah. And it just becomes very natural to hear the interpretation that serves you, that supports you, that moves you forward. You just don't hear the negative anymore.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. Joan Jacobs, I so appreciate that. I wish we had more time to talk about this, but if anybody wants to get more information from Joan, you can go to jjacobshealth.com. Is that the best website to go to, Joan?
Well, it's my website.
I mean, I just want to make sure I have the right one. jjacobshealth.com. And on there, she's got everything you can imagine, some videos. You can get her resources, her books, talk about her group event, her program. Remember, she is also the host of Light Within Radio broadcast series, so you can look that up. She's a former host on Voice America and the creator of the Light Within online community. Joan Jacobs, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
Appreciate you. And really great lesson about our interpretation and our ability to use our mind to better manage the emotion and to better get a hold of what's important and what's not. You're listening to the Matt Townsend Show. We'll take a break. Be back after this break right here on SiriusXM 143 BYU Radio.
KBYU-FM, HD2 Provo.
This Saturday and Sunday, SiriusXM 143 BYU Radio is proud to bring you all 4 general sessions of the semi-annual General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Tune in at noon and 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday and Sunday for General Conference live from the Conference Center in Salt Lake City.